What's up, Arizona? You're watching 12 Sports tonight on 12 Plus. I'm Cameron Cox. We're going to catch you with the rest of our crew here in just a moment. Happy Wednesday night, everyone. Every Wednesday, come hang out with us, talking all things Arizona sports. We're going to tell you the important stories, the ones that matter, and introduce you to the people that inspire. This is 12 Sports tonight, Arizona's OG and longest-running sports show, streaming on 12 Plus. Let's go. Every Wednesday during the football season, we're going to kick off the show announcing the winner of our Friday Night Fever Game of the Week poll. Look at that. 3 great games to pick from. The X, because you can't vote anymore. Poll is closed. Bash at Williams Field, Perry at Brophy, Seton Catholic at Gilbert Christian. Thank you to everyone who voted. It came down to the wire. Final minutes, and the Week 1 winner is... Who is it? I don't know. Who is it? You know, when the schedule came out, folks, I bet everyone had this circled as the game of the week, and clearly the Valley and the state of Arizona wants to see it lead off our show this Friday night. Undefeated Basha, undefeated Williams Field, the Blackhawks hosting the Bears. The Bears just coming off that big win over one of the best teams in the country, Orange Lutheran. They keep climbing up the top 30 standings in the nation. Williams Field, the Blackhawks. So many people talked about them over the summer. That massive offensive line. How will it do against the Bears and that monster defense? We're going to find out. Basha, Williams Field, our Friday Night Fever Game of the Week. They will kick off the show Friday night right here on 12 News. All right, speaking of voting, right now, go vote for the Sweet Play of the Week. Nominees we got from Saguaro, Tolleson, Marcos Deniza. Go vote right now on 12news.com or scan that QR code you see right there on the screen for your favorite play. Voting goes all week. The winner is announced every Friday night on the Fever. At the end of the year, all the weekly winners going to be up for the Sweet Play of the Year and a $5,000 scholarship courtesy of Sweet James, accident attorney. And hey, we got live high school football on the 12 Plus app for you every Thursday night. This week, it's Corona hosting Pinnacle. Corona del Sol hosting Pinnacle. Pregame show at 6:30. Kickoff at 7. There's the schedule all season long. Tune in every Thursday night on the 12 Plus app for some high school football. And then join us Friday night for Friday Night Fever, Arizona's longest-running high school football show, the 36th season of the Fever. Highlights, scores, and interviews from all over the state. Be a believer. Catch the Fever every Friday night at 11:35.
Time to break down this Cardinals win with our 12 Sports insider, Tim Ring of Arizona Sports 98.7 FM. Now let's talk about how this game ended, because the Saints and the Cardinals kept it interesting.
A little too interesting.
Too interesting. It was great to see Spencer Rattler, local guy, have a moment, but what'd you make of that final drive?
Well, I know Spencer Rattler, for a brief moment, started to celebrate. He thought this game was going to be tied, assuming, of course, they make the extra point, or I assume Kellen Moore wouldn't go for 2 points in that situation. But the problem is, Lena and Jake, when you let a team hang around, and I'm not telling Cardinal fans anything they don't know, when you let a team hang around and you leave points and you leave plays on the field, you leave yourself in a position where an NFL team, I don't care if you're a bad NFL team or not, you have a chance to come down and tie that football game. And, you know, you can talk about, we talked about this on the post-game show on the radio. You can talk, guys, about schemes and game plans and coaching staffs. Sometimes it comes down to making critical plays at critical times. And you take a look at this play here, the penultimate play of the game. Budda Baker and Jalen Thompson, they weren't sure right after the game which one broke that ball up. I think it was Baker, the way he was like a heat-seeking missile.
Whoever it was,
and
they made the play.
Thompson had his arm in there, and Budda came flying in. Rabbit was back there too, but on the high replay, you see that he really wasn't anywhere near the receiver. But they made a play. And you talk about making critical plays at critical times. The Cardinal defense needed to make a play, and they did it on that play. And then the fourth and final play was a little less dramatic, but they got the job done on that play as well.
Yeah. 4 straight incompletions there on that last possession really sealed the deal. In terms of individual player performances that stood out today, guy on the offensive side of the ball, Marvin Harrison Jr., he looked like he's, slowly taking that step in year 2. And then on the defensive side, Will Johnson had multiple moments, one of which was taken away from a penalty, and then he laid the boom on Chris Olave at one point in the second half.
Yeah, Jake, let's start with Will Johnson. He didn't play well for a rookie today. He played well, period. I mean, I think we saw Will Johnson, why he was so highly regarded coming out of Michigan, really should have been a first-round pick. I didn't think he was necessarily the best Cardinal defensive back on the field today. He was the best defensive back in the game today for both teams. The 3 passes defended, should have had a pick. I'm not sure what that penalty on Max Melton was there. It didn't look like much. They took a pick away from the rookie, but Johnson with the big hits as well, almost killing Ohio State's Chris Olave. I wonder if he had a little extra mustard on that.
Oh, you don't say, right?
In the fourth quarter. That's about as big time as you get. May go down as the hit of the year for the season here for the Cardinals in week 1. So I thought he was great. And quickly, Marvin Harrison Jr., guys. Harrison Jr., 5 catches, 71 yards. Probably could have had 170 yards receiving if Kyler put that one on the money and a couple of touchdowns, as it is for Harrison Jr. Again, not gaudy numbers, but impactful. Okay, he impacted winning today in a way that he didn't often do in his rookie season in 2024. That's what you want to see. Trey McBride was Trey McBride,
right?
And Marvin Harrison met the expectations today.
Yeah, on the flip side, I was personally concerned with the amount of times Kyler Murray was on the ground. 5 sacks given up by this O-line. What else might concern you about this team moving forward or what you saw today?
You know, the thing about Kyler's sacks is a few of those were in the first quarter when they were coverage sacks, but Kyler then would just kind of run out of bounds and take a loss. Ross Tucker on the broadcast talked about the offensive linemen hate that because it goes down as a sack.
Right.
Kyler, just throw the ball away. When you're outside the pocket, you won't lose the yards, and it won't be a sack. But, yeah, some offensive line breakdowns late, Lena, when they were trying to extend drives, and Kyler ended up on his back. That's a concern, but I think they'll get that cleaned up. The Cardinals have a good offensive line. I'll tell you my biggest area of concern on the offensive side, guys, this number 2, number 3, and number 4 wide receiver issue for the Cardinals. Yeah. We knew it was a question mark going in, and they did nothing today to dispel those concerns. Michael Wilson, 1 catch, 5 yards. Zay Jones, 1 catch, 4 yards. Dortch, 1 catch, -2 yards. So we'll combine 3 catches for a net 7 yards in the game. They got to get more. I know it's going to be Harrison Jr. and Trey McBride, and that's fine. But if you're going to be good teams in this league, we don't know if the Saints are going to be good. I'm going to guess that they won't turn out to be all that great. But if you're going to be good teams, guys, you got to get more out of those other wide receivers beyond Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
To another team that probably won't be any good this year, looking ahead quickly to week 2 of the season. The Panthers come to town, did not look prepared to play today in week 1 of the season. But on the other hand, they're a team that's given the Cardinals some problems.
Yeah, you know, since that NFC Championship game, they've played 8 times, counting that game. The Panthers have won the last 7. I thought the Cardinals were a better team last year. Maybe they took them lightly. They ended up losing the game. So at this point right now, if you're Jonathan Gannon, you love this scenario, right? We didn't play great. There's a lot to clean up, a lot to work on. I'm going to have my guys' attention this week. But all this happened under the umbrella of a 1-0 start. A win today in a place that's historically tough to play for anybody. In fact, the Saints rarely lose on week 1. They had the longest winning streak in the NFL in season opening games coming into today's game. So the Cardinals go down there, they get a win, a ton to work on. I think JG, he'll have their attention this week. I think they're going to play a better football game, guys, and I'd be shocked if they're not 2-0 when we're sitting here next week.
Doug Franz, host of the Doug Franz Unplugged podcast. Doug, we were all glued to the TV and waiting for Sam Leavitt to really have his Heisman moment. It ends in another interception, 2 interceptions, 82 yards passing, arguably the worst game that he's had in a Sun Devil uniform. What did you make of his first half and then how the game ended?
I would change what you said and get rid of the word arguably. There's no doubt this was the worst game Sam Leavitt had, but this was a complete meltdown by the entire program. When you look at that first half, they simply weren't ready to play football. And I would have done the same thing if I'm Kenny Dillingham. I would have got them ready for the crowd noise, and I would have got them all ready for the speed of Mississippi State. But there's one thing they forgot to do, and that's play football.
Right.
They did not hit anybody, and the offensive line in the first half got destroyed. And I don't know what happened then to Sam Leavitt, because I believe with the destruction of the offensive line, he did not get set. So many of his bad throws, his feet were not set at all, and that's not normally him at all to do that. And then, of course, the last play was very difficult to stomach with his final interception when you said Heisman. What you're hoping for is that's his Heisman moment.
Absolutely.
Everyone would have forgot the rest of the game, and you can't because of that.
Right.
Doug, as you mentioned, ASU spent all week preparing for the atmosphere, the hostile environment, probably the loudest crowd they're going to face all season long in Starkville. And it looked like they weren't prepared to handle that noise, to handle that atmosphere. Why? Where did they go wrong in their preparation or in their play in the first half today?
I have to, again, I'm going to say something similar to what I said before, because I look at it like this. Sometimes you prepare so much for a cowbell and you don't play football. Because that's what happened. I have not seen this O-line play this bad in 2 years. They were terrible in the first half. Second half, they came right at it and started running the football, and that opening drive after halftime was all running of the football, and that was fantastic because if you want to eliminate that cowbell right there, you run the football. Yeah. And they did that in the second half, but in the first half, they were getting blown off the ball, and then what does that do? It infuriates the crowd. They get excited. And then they start ringing the cowbell even louder.
Oh, yeah. The fans definitely smelled blood in the water, and they were feeding off of that. But you mentioned the struggles the O-line had in the first half, but then to start the second half the way they did, just pounding the yardage, getting Kanye Udo in for the touchdown, that really kind of changed the tide and gave them some life.
They were outstanding in the second half, and even though you should be upset at some of the coaching if you're an ASU fan, I would say this shows you do have good coaches who struggled at the end, but this was outstanding. This drive is all designed runs except one, and the one run that wasn't designed ended up becoming a run because Sam Levitt was rushed out of the pocket. But you can see that's a design run right there. You can see the pushing of the line of scrimmage back. Now it's Sam Levitt versus the secondary, and they can't handle that. Udo was really, really good. Prayers out to Sept. That's got to be a horrible thing for him not to be able to play in this game when he is from Tupelo, Mississippi. But plays like this, that was the one that's not a designed run, and you still almost get a first down. This was destruction, and I think it's why on the final plays of that goal-to-go situation at the end of the fourth quarter, they kept it all on the ground because they've been able to run it so well in the second half, but unfortunately, they don't get the touchdown that they need. They're up 3, and the final touchdown ends up beating them.
There's a lot of second-guessing some of the decisions from the coaching staff at various points in this game, but I think the one that is going to stand out in everyone's mind is this decision to kick the field goal at the end and not go for it on fourth down. Doug, we're running short on time, but did you like that, or would you have gone for it on fourth?
I think you got to get points. I mean, the way they were running the football, I would have liked to see them go for it, but that's not the question that really grabs me the most. The question that grabs me the most, and I am a huge Brian Ward fan, he's a good defensive coordinator, but you weren't able to keep Texas out of the end zone at the end of the game, and now you have this situation with Mississippi State. If you want to bring pressure, if you want to blitz 6, go ahead and play cover 0. If you want to drop back and drop 8 and keep them out of the end zone, go ahead. But what I don't like is a blitz bail without safety help on the back, because you see what happens on that final play for Michigan or for Mississippi State.
Talking ASU, and they needed a nice little bounce back game, don't they, Cam?
They do. They got Texas State this weekend. It should be a game for the Devils to get back in the win column. You know, 2 players have spent their entire lives lining up against each other, but when ASU hosts Texas State on Saturday, they'll be on the opposite sidelines for the first time. 12 Sports journalist Jake Garcia has the story.
It's going to feel like a battle against brothers for ASU lineman Jameto Obibo on Saturday. He played for Texas State for the past 2 years, and now he faces his old team. A fight against family for the first time in his career. If you start to see double on Saturday, your eyes do not deceive you. Jameto Obibo says it happens to everyone.
When we were the same weights, it was just hard. And we used to dress up the same, so we used to get everybody.
ASU Texas State is a showdown among siblings, a tango between twins.
I remember backyard football. We would just get the ball and just see how hard we can run into each other. We used to do that, but, you know, we started getting bigger, so we can break bones.
Broken bones would hurt bad because theirs are carbon copies. Jameto and Emeka have been attached at the hip since birth, identical twins who walked identical paths. They played high school football together, college football together at Incarnate Word, then transferred together to Texas State.
I played tackle, he got to play guard next to me. You know, it's just, that's a 1 in a million dream to play right next to your brother, if that, your twin brother.
Which made the juncture Jameto faced last year a real pitchfork in the road. He had spent his entire life in the heart of Texas, his entire life next to someone who shared his heartbeat. The decision to separate, a power move to the Power 4.
It was due. It was due from that time, you know, just to increase my talent level and just my play level.
So Jameto left Texas and his twin for Tempe. A family feud on Saturday. Any bad blood would be spilled by the same blood.
Coming of age, like, you know, you gotta write your own story and do your own thing. So it wasn't hard.
Obibo didn't play in last year's ASU Texas State game. He only played in 4 games as he was recovering from a torn ACL. He's now fully healthy and starting for the Sun Devils. He's had this matchup on his mind since the schedule was dropped. In Tempe, Jake Garcia, 12 Sports.
Doug, the Saints had more yards than the Cards, but Kyler Murray did just enough to get the dub. What did you make about his decision-making, though? Too hesitant, too risky?
I would say not enough good decisions. There were positives in this game. The touchdown pass to Marv, the step up, and when he threw it to Trey McBride. But I'm still seeing way too much hesitation, and that's why I still will argue Kyler Murray is an average quarterback. Positive, I didn't see 7 teams in the NFC that are better than the Cardinals.
Right.
So they could still be a playoff team. But if we look at some of the plays from Kyler Murray in this game, let's keep an eye on what he's seeing and what he's not seeing. Here, this is basic. Throw the ball out of bounds. You just cost your team a 3-yard sack by carrying it out of bounds. You could have flipped it out of bounds. Same thing here. Why are we sliding here and giving up a yard of territory when we can flip the ball out of bounds? And then I don't know what that was. That is just a throw off the back foot. I'm just chucking it instead of actually seeing the ball into my receiver. This is a delay of game. There's a little play clock at the bottom of the screen. All you have to do is look across the field and you'll see it. That's always on the quarterback. That was a terrible decision. And then this.
That was big.
Oh, my gosh. You work on this one all week. We're here for this. Marvin, you've got him. That's a 99-yard play that then goes on tape and scares the rest of the world. And then this one, what do you see here, Kyler? Even though it goes down as an incomplete pass, that's so easily intercepted with a better secondary. So are there positives? Yes. There's a lot to talk about that are positive in other areas. Unfortunately, that wasn't playoff caliber quarterbacking. Yes, it's week 1, but it's also year 7. How long do we wait?
Doug not willing to give him a free pass for the flu game and under the weather type symptoms.
What's going on, guys? Everybody have a good weekend?
Yeah, it was great, except for that ASU game. That was rough.
You know, it was tough. We were in New Orleans with the Cardinals, and it was cool. Jake Plummer was there on a trip with the Bird Gang. We was watching the ASU game right next to him. It was really cool to see him react to the Devils, of course, coming back to that game, tying it late, and then Mississippi State takes the game late. And the heartbreak there from not only Jake Plummer but Sun Devil fans. But the best part is their whole season is in front of them. Devils back at practice day, kind of with a renewed spirit, ready to take on the week and get back to winning. Kelly Dillingham focusing on the details this week, things to clean up this week on the offensive side of the ball. Sam Levitt needs to play better. They're looking for some playmakers late in game. Bottom line, though, everything the Devils want is still right in front of them, and Kenny Dillingham is not worried about people freaking out after just one loss.
I get it. That's everybody's job, right? It's the nature of sports. Things are either great or they're horrible. There's no such thing as like the middle. Or like the same, good, bad. You gotta love the process and love the monotony. What things can we get better at? And then you go out there and try to do it. And if you don't get better at it, then that's not good. If you get better at it, positive.
It definitely gives you more motivation. It makes you lock in on what I didn't do well. Really focusing, trying to listen more to people. Honestly, glad that it happened for me and the team. It's going to benefit us in the long run.
Guys, don't you love to hear that from the quarterback and the head coach?
Seeing the bright side.
And Kenny's right. There's probably no middle ground with fans, especially this year. So much expectation for the Devils to win the Big 12 again, get back to the college football playoff. But remember, that's a team that lost 2 games before they played Texas in that playoff game. So, there's obviously some room. The bottom line, when you come to the Big 12 conference, you can still win the whole thing. You can still finish top 2 and get into the playoffs. Everything the Devils want to accomplish is still in front of them. So while, yes, it's one loss, yes, it's to a tough team, they can still right the ship and get things going the rest of the way.
I bet it's so tough. Because they came out of nowhere last year. And it's so tough having everybody go, oh, you guys are good, you guys are good, you guys are good, and to try to tune that out.
Troy, just think about it. Somebody rushed the field against the Sun Devils. Because you beat the Sun Devils, they were so fired up to celebrate. Mississippi State rushed the field. Kenny talked about that yesterday. That hasn't happened to ASU in a long time. So clearly goes to show you that program is on an up and up, and people think pretty highly of the Devils. Now they just got to get back on track.
Yeah, get some wins.
Yeah, they got Texas State this Saturday at home. Kickoff is at 7:30.
Tim Ring back with us to chat ASU football. We've had about 24 hours to go over this loss.
And I'm still pissed.
Aren't we all?
Still upset about it. Concerning performance for ASU. I don't think anyone expected them to go 12-0, but this is now 2 weeks where, they didn't look like the team we expected them to at the start of the season. Where's your level of concern at right now for this team?
It's high, guys. I'll tell you, we talked earlier about Jonathan Gannon having his team's attention after a victory, and they'll hopefully get some things cleaned up. Well, that was supposed to be the story for ASU after kind of an ugly win over NAU. Well, if he had their attention this week, it sure didn't look like it when the game kicked off and the Devils were almost shut out. in the first half. In fact, if not for that late hit on Sam Levitt, which was kind of even questionable in and of itself, they may not even get on the board in that first half. What was crazy about that game, though, and we can talk about the last play, and we probably will, is that the way ASU came out in the second half, they looked like they were going to overpower Mississippi State and ultimately take that lead and get out of there with a victory, and all that kind of happened. I mean, they kept Mississippi State off the board until the final minute of the game, and they did what they needed to do to ultimately get the lead. But again, when you let a team hang around, we talked about this with the Cardinals and the Saints. You giving up when you give a team one play away, the opportunity to win a football game, you're playing with fire, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, what do you make of Sam Levitt's performance, his worst in a Sun Devil uniform? A lot of expectations, the Heisman conversation. What concerns you, and how does this team move forward?
Well, I think for now, the Heisman conversation, put it to bed. I mean, come on, let's be realistic. I mean, I among Arizona State faithful thought that he had a chance to be in the conversation if he played a fantastic year. But I think through 2 weeks, let's not worry about Heismans. Let's worry about winning games and trying to win a Big 12 championship. It was uneven, Lena. I thought he played tough. He played hard. He ran hard. He, in that running game, almost tried to will this team to victory. Mississippi State couldn't cover Jordan Tyson, but yet when they got down there on the goal line with a chance to go up 7, it was 3 conservative runs up the middle. And then on fourth down, I mean, I know fans were debating this since the end of the game. I think you have to kick the field goal. Kenny Dillingham thought the same way. It's a tie game. I mean, if you go for it there and you don't get it and you lose that game in overtime, you never live that down as a coach. But I think the mistake there was not kicking the field goal on fourth down. It was basically running into the teeth of the defense for 3 straight plays. I know you're trying to kill clock, but again, you got Jordan Tyson, you got Sam Levitt. Be a little more creative there.
And you don't have Cam Scatterbo.
And you don't. That first half, I mean, that was, I know it's only game 2, but that was the first time I said, boy, they may miss Scatterbo more than and we knew they were going to miss him. Right. He was, for my money, the best player in college football last year. So they got to find other ways, guys. They can't rely on Cam Scatterbo to break 3 tackles and run for 50 yards to either score or put them in scoring position. They have to find other ways. You can't nearly get shut out on the road against a team that won 2 games a year ago.
Sun Devils back at home against Texas State next Saturday. Tim, thanks.
You got it, guys.
I feel like the constant performance-wise have been Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll. But for me, the anchor of this team and one of the true leaders of this team is Geraldo Perdomo. Right. We put a lot on him. He's innately a Spanish speaker, has commanded the English language, so he's kind of running the entire show for no matter who walks in that clubhouse. He's been the one constant, keeps it fun, keeps it loose, and keeps it real.
Doug, it's a simple question. Is Geraldo Perdomo one of the most underrated players in baseball?
Yes, but it won't be for very long, because what he's doing right now is going to start building an MVP campaign, not for 2025, but for the future years. And I love what Tori said right there. And you probably are wondering, okay, we're going to show you some things that happened Friday night. And you might be thinking, why? They just won Saturday. Let's talk about that, or that incredible Blaze catch.
Sure.
But when you do this in game 1 of a series, it sets you up for other games. So let's go to his first inning at bat yesterday. He saw 27 pitches yesterday in his 5 at-bats. So we can talk all day about going for 4 for 5. It was wonderful. Congratulations. 4 hits are amazing. But when you have a 9-pitch at-bat, and then his 4th at-bat was a 10-pitch at-bat. Look, I'm still talking, and he hasn't even hit the home run yet.
Right.
Okay, now we finally have the home run. What that does is the starting pitcher gets knocked out early because of people like Perdomo. How many times are you watching a game and Perdomo's got a full count? Then in his next at-bat after the home run, yes, it's just a single, but it's a 10-pitch at-bat before the single. 27 pitches in 5 at-bats, and that means you get into their bullpen early, and when you do that on game 1, now game 2 becomes easier. They do it again, and now they're going for the sweep tomorrow.
And impressive against one of the best teams in the American League. You want to make up some ground in the National League, but to have an effort like this after the road trip they went on in Milwaukee, in LA, this is promising, right?
Well, I would say first get to 500. They've done that.
Well, yes, for the first time since July 1st.
They're 72 and 71 now, but here's the problem. When you go like 4-2 during the week, that's a pretty good week. But then if the other teams that you're chasing go 3-3, which is 500, you spent all week, you picked up 1 game. They're 4.5 out, and you usually try to pick up a game a week, there's only 3 weeks left in the season.
Right.
So they've got to be hotter than hot.
Yeah.
And right now, both they and the Giants are. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They're playing the best baseball in the National League at the correct time when the Mets and Padres are starting a little bit of a free fall.
I will say, like, you sell at the deadline, you expect the team to kind of coast off into the offseason, but the Tigers did that last year. They made a deep playoff run, so who's to say the D-backs can't do that, but they just got to get into the dance first.
That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for watching 12 Sports tonight on 12+. Same time, same place. Next week, right? I'm Cameron Cox. We'll see you back here Sunday night at 10:30 for 12 Sports Tonight.